The diner was busy, filled with the ordinary sounds of clinking plates, low conversations, and the smell of hot food. In the middle of it all sat a disabled girl, quietly trying to enjoy her meal, drawing no attention to herself. Yet for a group of bullies, her vulnerability made her an easy target. What began as mocking whispers soon turned into cruel laughter, then harsh words that cut deeper with every passing second. People noticed, but most chose to look away, convincing themselves it wasn't their problem. The humiliation escalated when one of the bullies crossed a line that should never be crossed. In full view of everyone, the girl was slapped. The sound echoed through the diner, followed by an unbearable silence. Her eyes filled with shock and pain, not just from the blow, but from the realization that no one rushed to her defense. The cruelty wasn't only in the act itself, it was in the indifference surrounding it. This moment exposed a harsh truth about human behavior. Bullies thrive when they believe they are untouchable, when they sense fear, hesitation, or silence from those around them. The girl's disability made her appear defenseless, and the crowd's inaction silently gave the bullies permission to continue. Each person who stayed seated, each pair of eyes that turned away, became an unwilling participant in her suffering. Cruelty in plain sight is often the most painful kind. It doesn't hide in dark corners. It happens openly, relying on the comfort of witnesses who choose safety over courage. That day in the diner, the girl wasn't just struck by a hand. She was struck by society's failure to stand up for the vulnerable when it mattered most. Nearly an hour had passed since the cruelty in the diner, but the air still felt heavy, as if the walls themselves remembered what had happened. The disabled girl remained there, quiet and withdrawn, her meal untouched. That was when the door opened and a group of bikers walked in. Leather jackets, heavy boots, and road-worn faces turned heads instantly. Conversations lowered. People assumed trouble had arrived, but they were wrong. The bikers didn't speak loudly or act aggressively. They took their seats, ordered food, and observed. One of the staff, shaken and guilt-ridden, quietly shared what had happened earlier. As the story unfolded, the bikers' expressions changed, not with anger alone, but with something deeper: disappointment. They understood injustice. Many of them had lived lives where strength was judged by fear, yet they had learned that real power meant protection. Without a word, the group reached a silent agreement. They weren't there to intimidate or start a fight. Their goal was simple: make sure the girl felt safe again. One biker gently approached her table, keeping his voice low and respectful. He didn't ask questions that would reopen wounds. He simply let her know she wasn't alone anymore. Their presence shifted the atmosphere of the diner. The same people who had stayed silent before now watched closely. The bullies were gone, but the message was clear. If they returned, they would not find the same helpless target. The bikers sat nearby, forming an unspoken shield. In that moment, the bikers became unexpected guardians. They proved that protection doesn't always come from authority or crowds, but from those willing to step forward when others step back. Strength, they showed, is not about fear. It's about standing up for someone who couldn't stand up for herself. The bikers never raised their voices or clenched their fists. Despite their intimidating appearance, they chose restraint over rage. They understood that violence would only add another layer of pain to an already cruel moment. Instead, they let their presence speak. A calm, unwavering reminder that the girl was no longer alone, and that what had happened would not be ignored. When the bullies were mentioned, the bikers didn't chase them down or seek revenge. They spoke to the diner staff, encouraging them to document the incident and ensure it was reported properly. Accountability, they believed, mattered more than fear. By doing so, they shifted responsibility back where it belonged, onto those who caused harm and the systems meant to protect the vulnerable. The bikers also did something just as powerful. They restored dignity. One of them paid for the girl's meal. Another offered a kind smile and a few gentle words. There was no pity in their actions, only respect. In that small but meaningful way, they reminded her and everyone watching that she deserved safety, kindness, and justice like anyone else. The atmosphere in the diner changed. The same witnesses who had once remained silent now felt the weight of their inaction. They saw that courage didn't require shouting or fighting. It required standing firm and doing what was right. The lesson was clear and unforgettable. Justice without violence is often the hardest kind, but it leaves the deepest impact. That day, the bikers showed that true strength is not measured by the harm you can cause, but by the harm you choose to prevent. By protecting the weak and insisting on accountability, they delivered a form of justice far more powerful than any act of revenge.